I would like to begin by asking you to think about the most embarrassing moment that you've had to live through. That one moment where you go, was that me? I wish that wasn't me. I'm sure that for some of you, at the moment I said embarrassing, had already pinpointed the exact memory, maybe because of how traumatic or funny it was. For others, it will take you a little bit longer. Maybe you have many, or maybe you just can't remember. But I'm sure that for all of you, these 10 minutes might truly help you with these situations. Before introducing my 5-step guide to dominating the feeling of embarrassment with 3 personal stories, I wanted to explain what embarrassment actually is. According to a study done by the University of California in 2011, it stated that when a person feels embarrassed, their heart rate increases, their breathing changes, and their blood pressure goes up. Maybe like mine is doing right now. But what has happened to me has been that I lose all ability to speak and interact with others. Maybe you'll see this a little bit further on in the presentation. And I wanted to share a short story for you to understand how I live on my day-to-day basis, because the story I'm about to tell you has been one of many. So for me, this is just another day. I consider myself an athletic person. You know, I've been on basketball, volleyball, and soccer team. And in my school, there's a day where everybody plays against each other. So on this particular day, they play against each other like in Hogwarts, in houses, a little bit like Quidditch, but with real sports. So on this particular day, we were playing soccer. I was excited. I knew how to play soccer. This was my sport. And they passed it to me because they thought I knew how to tap it back a little bit, and that was it. But what I did instead was simply, I don't know why or how I did this, I stepped on a ball and fell backwards. So you might think, oh, I've seen many people do this. But the difference was that when I did this, when I stepped on the ball, I fell backwards. I hit my head so hard that I gave myself temporary amnesia. And I know this is hard to believe, but here are some pictures. I had to have a neck brace for 2 weeks. It was so embarrassing that I remember my mother, she was in the nurse, she was very stressed. She was like, "Where's the ambulance?" And unconsciously, I was behind her, mimicking her. "Where's the ambulance?" You know? So it was super embarrassing because this was actually in February 14, 2019. And I didn't remember the people that were new that year. I had lost an entire year. And the embarrassing thing was that with 3 years and 3 years in the soccer team, I still managed to step on the ball, fall backwards, and give myself temporary amnesia. I was transported throughout the entire school in a horizontal stretcher. And everybody saw me. Many people texted me, "Oh, are you okay?" And I had to explain to every single one of them how I had gotten amnesia. Now, obviously, I'm telling you from the point of view of a friend that was there because to this day, I still can't remember. So the first step that helped me get over these embarrassing situations was simply acknowledge the event. You know, I stepped on the ball, fell backwards, got amnesia. First step, acknowledge. Now, the second step is learn to laugh at yourself. I know and from my experiences that this is the hardest thing you'll ever have to do. Because of course, when you're in these moments, you're sensitive, all you want to do is cry. I've done that before actually. But anyways, I learned this step. It was actually, I remember the importance of this skill in a moment. I was in a dinner table with my family. So we were all eating, and I don't remember what we were talking about, probably a controversial topic or something that had happened on the news that day. Or maybe even I was asking permission to have plans with my friends for that week. But I was speaking, I was confident, I had my points clear. I was convincing my parents, and of course, in the middle of everything, my mother interrupts me and says, "Hey, have you noticed you wrinkle your eyebrows when you do this?" And I was embarrassed. And the most embarrassing thing was that my sister's friend was there. So it wasn't just my family members. And my blood boiled. I was infuriated. How could they interrupt me while I was speaking? And gone were the days that these were my family members. These were my enemies, and this was war. No, I'm just kidding, no. But actually, I realized after a couple of days that, you know, the next time I'll wrinkle my eyebrows myself. I'll learn to laugh with them instead of feeling like they were laughing at me. And this was the first step of my character development. And I can tell you that this is the hardest step, but when you learn to laugh at yourself, it will truly change your entire life for the better. Now, the third step is to not make a scene. I learned this one the hard way. And my advice is don't start bawling your eyes out, something I did. Don't blame others that had nothing to do with it, which I also did. And don't get insanely mad, which might come as a surprise to you, but I also did. So I think the worst part that had happened, the worst thing that has ever happened to me was actually in a musical. And we were playing, I was participating in the Jungle Book musical, you know, that one of a jungle, a little bear, a child in the jungle. And the role I got was a tree. So throughout the entire musical, I was a tree. So you might think, oh, maybe they gave her a green shirt and brown pants and green leaves. But no, that's not even close to what they did. What they had done was give me a circular cardboard. It was insanely heavy. I still remember it today. And it was overalls, and it came up to my waist. So imagine just an 8- and 9-year-old girl passing throughout the stage with this cardboard. And I know it might be difficult to believe me, but here are the pictures. So the best part was that there was this scene where they wanted us to hold hands and pass these 2 or 3 steps. It was barely anything. And they wanted us like a beautiful little line all together. And of course, I had special instructions because of this cardboard. So they had told me, you have to let go of the person's hand, put your cardboard up, pass the steps, and then get the hands again. So the musical was on a Thursday and a Friday. On the Thursday, it went perfectly. I was a little bit embarrassed that I had to be the only one that had let go of the hands, but it went fine. I followed the instructions. On the Friday, my stubborn head, my hard-headed said, you know what? I don't need to let go. I'll hold them. And of course, like any logical person would have thought, except me at the time, when I passed the steps, I flat out faced like a pancake on the steps. So it wasn't even a circular cardboard anymore. It was more of an oval. Everybody was trying to help me, the people in front of me, the people in the back. And the music even died down a little bit. You know when that happens, when it just gets a little bit softer. The entire audience did, and nobody understood why the line had stopped. I was on the verge of tears. But to this day, I'm so proud because I didn't cry on stage. I went backstage, and I did explicitly what I said not to do. I bawled my eyes out. I blamed my parents, even though they had nothing to do with it. They weren't even on the musical committee. There was no reason to blame them. And I got insanely mad. My face was a pepper. It was even redder than this spot right here. So anyways, to this day, I still think how different it would have been if I just stood up, with the help of others, of course, and laughed and just went with it. And this leads to the 4th point. You have to brush it off. We all have these moments where we would literally rather be swallowed by earth instead of having to face the people that saw us in these acts. You know, the tree scene, I realized I had to go back in there as a tree anyway with my with my oval cardboard now. And I had to go back in there as a princess too because I had another role. At some point, you will forget. I guarantee you will forget. And then you'll have a peace of mind. Maybe after you'll remember, then you'll reflect on the decisions made, like I'm doing right now, and you learn that life goes on, whether you want it to or not. And this leads to the last step. Remember that all of these experiences help you grow as a person. If I didn't have these harsh but needed life lessons, I wouldn't be the person I am today. I wouldn't be standing up here telling you all the incredibly clumsy and embarrassing things I've done. And I would definitely be a less interesting person. Take these experiences as learning opportunities. You get to be the one that experiences this. You get to be the one that remembers and laughs. You get to be the one that improves from this. It's an experience, and every experience is valuable, whether it's good or not. And something I've noticed is that nobody really cares as much as you think they do. I want you to remember right now an embarrassing moment that you've witnessed, but not a celebrity moment, just one you've seen with your eyes. I'm sure that some of you will remember, but I guarantee you that it took you much more time than when I asked you about your own. Just like you have your own world where you're the center of attention, everybody else has theirs too. So if I'm in class and somebody does something truly embarrassing, I'll probably remember the day, the next day, maybe even a week, which is improbable. But then I'll forget because I have things that I have to worry and think about too, as everyone else does. So after introducing my 5-step guide to dominating the feeling of embarrassment, I want to invite you to put yourself in these uncomfortable situations. If you have a fear of singing, do it anyways. Public speaking, do it anyways. If you fail, you get back up and you learn. I've stood up in this entire theater, was packed, about 400 people here. And I was singing, and I was with my friend, and I was singing in Italian, actually, which I didn't really know well. And my voice cracked. And I looked at my friend, and she did, ah. And I did, ah. And everybody went silent. It was so embarrassing. But now, do I remember? Yes, of course I do. Did it teach me for learning opportunities in the future, for singing activities? Absolutely. And life really is just a learning process, and we're all at different stages of it. And having these embarrassing moments are the true cores of growing. Thank you.